Hello. So today I want to talk to you about the game Widgets and Digits that Friendly Bee Company was nice enough to supply me with a copy of so I can tell all of you about it. And I have really enjoyed this game. It is available now too. It's already crowdfunded. You can find it in plenty of friendly local game stores, on Amazon, directly from their website. So this is available now if it appeals to you. So in this game, you are creating widgets. What's a widget? That's a great question. A widget is just anything that is produced. So I love this because on one side, this is your player aid, and this is a game for 2 to 4 players, and it has great scalability. There's going to be kind of a base mode that you learn, and then there's going to be some really fun things that you get to add to it that add a lot more strategy, depth, and a lot more player interaction. So on the back side, you are going to name your company and you are going to say the purpose of your company. And I love it. In addition, this company claims sole use of the following slogan. So these you can be as creative and silly as you want, or as boring and straightforward as you want. I sometimes struggle to be creative on the spot, so mine's usually a little more plain. And then at the bottom is where you're going to total your score, and whoever has the most money or digits at the end of the game will be the winner. But I love that these also double as a player aid so that everyone can see what is happening. This game is played over 4 rounds, and there's a few steps within each round. So every player is going to get their own player board. It's a one-sided player board, and this part is used no matter which version of the game you're playing. And then some of these other parts are only used with the expansion, but totally fine. They don't get in the way if you're not playing with the expansion. The people who make this game recommend that you start playing with the base game first. And then once you are able to win the game or finish the game in the higher brackets, then you are probably ready to add on the expansions. But I'm not here to tell you what to do. If you want to jump straight into expansions, do that. This is the central board that every player will be utilizing. And as you can see, here are your Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, or your rounds. So essentially it's played over 1 year. You have your raw materials market, your parts market, and your finished goods market. These are places that you can go to buy and sell goods of the type, which are represented by the different discs that are in the matching colors. So this is essentially an engine building game. This is your engine. So to start out, if you start out with 1 raw good, when you run your engine, your 1 raw good is going to turn into 1 part. Your 1 part is then going to turn into 1 good, and your 1 good is then going to go out into the retail world and is going to get you $20. So that is the engine in its most basic form. 1 raw good runs all the way through the engine, ending in $20. That would be really boring if that was all that happened in this game. Now, here's where things get interesting. You have all of these cards, and as you can see, the cards correspond to the colors of the board. The cards let you do extra things. So this card, for example, goes in this area, and it lets you have 3 parts to turn into 3 raw goods, which are then potentially going to be turned into $60. However, I cannot start with 1 raw good, turn it into 1 part, and magically have 3 in order to run my engine. So this is where I may then buy parts that will be here on the parts market to add, or I may try and upgrade more parts of my board so that my engine is running more efficiently. So this is one of those games where in the first round, you're not going to be able to do as much as you will by the end if you're really smart about how you upgrade your engine. Each of these cards is going to cost money to get. And then there's also going to be a labor cost that when you run your engine, you have to be able to pay for your labor. And as you can imagine, the more powerful the cards are, the higher the labor cost is. And let's say I had this card in here for Q2. For Q3, maybe I decide to buy a better card from the market. I can actually sell this one for half the price I purchased it for, which is really helpful and a great way to get some money. So that is essentially the basics of the basic game. I even think, honestly, the basic game can be played solo because there's not a ton of player interaction in the basics. But then come the expansion. So the first one is the worker expansion, where you get all of these little workers. And as you can see on your player board, there are spots here that you can put more workers. More workers are going to allow you to output more goods, and there's actually going to be a bid between players for how much those workers are going to cost. So instead of just having the straight labor cost, it then becomes a worker cost, and it will be based on how you bid and all of that throughout the game. So that adds a lot to it as well. And there's only so many workers available each round, and the person who bid the highest, they're going to get to buy as many of those available workers as they want. Then whoever is next highest, if there's any left, can buy them. If you use them all in your machine, great. But even if you leave some of them sitting in your break room, you still have to pay them. So there's this balance. You can't go in too fast into all the workers. Otherwise, your labor costs are going to be so high you can't turn a profit. So there's this push and pull throughout the whole game. And then there is this deck of cards. And this deck of cards is the other expansion that you can add in with or without the workers expansion. Obviously, this and the workers expansion is really going to give you the biggest bang for your buck, the grandest experience, and all of this comes in the box. So these cards are going to have greater abilities on them, and they're also going to have some flavor text that will give you potentially an ongoing or a one-time use ability. So these cards are far more powerful than the cards that come in the base game, but they're also a little more complicated, which is why it's suggested that you play just the base game way a few times to really get your bearings, and then jump into all of these extra cards, because these will increase it exponentially in your strategy, which is awesome, but you may need a little time to get there. A lot of these cards will combo really well together. There's going to be a lot more things you can do to other people that they will maybe not love you for. So the more expansions that you add to this game, the more depth of strategy you add, and also the more player interaction you add. So you can kind of decide based on the group you're playing with how much strategy you want to it, how much interaction you want to it. Some people don't love games that have any element of take that. So in that case, stick with the base game. But this is a really fantastic game. I definitely enjoy it. I recommend it. I would love to know, what do you think of it? Give me a like and a follow, and I'll keep bringing you more board game content. Thanks. Bye.